Morning, everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host for the Dawn Patrol. Dawn Patrol goes between 6 and 7, and City Life from 7 to 8, approximately, not exactly. And Sam Chase is my co-host. We're still wishing Bob Hoey well wishes on his increased health prognosis, and maybe one of these days he will actually join us, we hope. John McDonough is behind the camera. We want everybody to know that the opinions expressed and or other information is our own. Sometimes it's somebody else's, but it is not anything dealing with any of the communities that are listed below or anybody off of Facebook that may think that we're trying to do something maybe that we shouldn't. So you see we have Marcos Candido, Sherri Barboza, and Corey Belanger as our guests.
Sherri's here now.
Sherri is here now. That'll be interesting. So I had a whole list of things we could talk about, but I'm certainly sure that we're going to give her out. Is she here for the 2 hours, John?
She's here now, so, yep. Maybe she'll leave it early, I don't know, maybe she doesn't have a job. I don't know her that well.
Well, anyway, it was like 55 degrees when I drove in. It's
Yes.
roughly the same for you, and it's been cooler. Last week, one of the mornings was like 45, and then sometime during the day, it may get to 80, so nice span as far as temperature goes. One of the things I thought was thoroughly amusing is that because Trump didn't appear like every 5 minutes on camera, they thought he was dead. Did you read about that or
And
hear
yet
about
we
that?
didn't, we didn't see Biden for days at a time, and nobody said a word.
Well, yeah, and he never did conferences.
So anybody who thinks the rules are the same for everybody, think again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different rules for different people.
Yeah, and different parties, as far as that goes. So,
Yep.
I didn't hear it, but I wasn't necessarily listening to the television a lot, over the weekend either.
Well,
And,
you have to admit it is unusual for Trump to not be in front of the cameras every day, because usually he is. So,
well, that's true.
yeah.
But for them to think that he was dead, I thought that was thoroughly amusing. And then for them to be so disappointed that he wasn't, I thought that was not amusing at all. I thought that was extremely disrespectful. Even though, we may not particularly like any of the other people that have been in the presidency, I'm not too sure that we would be sad if they stayed alive, because the alternatives were worse. So anyway, so I thought that was kind of crazy. And then there was castle that was in Guilford, New Hampshire, that burned down. And if anybody knew about any of that up in that area. So we'll see whether or not they tear it down and they build something else in its place. So we do have Sherri Barboza that's here. If you, I'll get up. Can you get behind me, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Thank you, sorry. Ritz crackers.
My favorite.
Oh, that's what I use.
I can share.
No, I don't want any. No.
Sherri's leaving at 7.
Okay.
Leaving at 7. Okay, that's all right.
Bring my son to school.
That is a necessity.
That's the
Yes.
important thing.
Second day, I don't want him being late, definitely.
Which school?
The Maury.
Okay.
Yeah, she brought Ritz crackers as her snack. Ta-da. I usually, Ritz crackers is what my parents had all the time. Sometimes saltines, but definitely Ritz.
Do you ever make a mock apple pie out of Ritz crackers?
No, but I was just going to say my sister did, and she used the whole box.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And my mother was furious.
But my mother did it once, and I could not tell the difference. It tasted like apple pie to me, but what did I know? I was only about 10 years old.
No, that's great. No, you just
But
crumble
what I
them
do is
up.
I usually use those, I crush them up, melt a stick of butter, and then that's what I use on top of making baked cod or baked haddock.
100%.
Yep, and that's, because that's what they, well, I add dill, I
Well,
mean, I add more
restaurants,
stuff
the
to it.
restaurants are doing that now, too.
Well, they've been doing it for a
use
long
the-
time.
They use the crackers instead of the breading.
Yeah, usually I go to a restaurant, if I like something different, I can reproduce it at home.
Now, you didn't think we'd be talking about your Ritz crackers, did you?
I was prepared for anything.
Prepared for anything, that's okay.
Anyway, so you're running for city council, and in what district?
So I'm running against Kim Scott, and
School committee too.
I'm a write-in for school committee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. I'm also a write-in for school committee. So for city council, it would be, it's a lot involved in that district, actually. It's South Lowell, Erie City, some of Back Central, Sacred Heart area, and correct me if I missed any other parts in there. Oh, also, I live in the Highlands of South Lowell, so it actually includes some of the Highlands as well. So yeah, you can see it right there.
Now, how does that work? If you're running for city council and you're a write-in for school committee, what happens if you get both offices?
I have to pick.
You have to pick, okay.
I have to pick. So school committee would include Belvedere and all
Can't do
the.
both, like a mayor.
Well, wouldn't that be nice? No, you can't. I mean, he sits on both, but you can't do both.
You can't do
So-
both in Chelmsford either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it must be in your
So
city
Sherri,
charter,
School
yeah.
committee, what, you're 5 and 3?
Yes, so it'd be Belvedere and all the areas that I just mentioned.
South Lowell and Belvedere. Yep.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
So who's running for school committee in those areas?
There's actually just, if you don't include me, no one is running against any of the districts. Everyone got their signatures and they're just gonna sit in their seat again this year. So, the district, is Dave Conway, where I'm a write-in, and yeah, no one else is running. So, the only, other people that,
School committee for,
go ahead.
School committee, we got, Tuckerville is just Fred Bahu, nobody's running against him.
Right,
At Centerville, nobody's running against Eileen Del Rossi. And Dave so you're running against Dave Conway.
right,
For, school committee as a writer.
as a write-in, correct,
And then Dominic Lay, he's got nobody running against him.
exactly,
So, hypothetically, everybody could have a write-in candidate.
exactly.
Running against.
Now, that's, I don't ever recall that,
But the at-large thing, Connie Martin's running. Then we got Danielle McFadden, Bob Hoey, and Zoe DeZiku. And I talked to Bobby yesterday, and Bobby's in, so.
okay.
I expected him to be, okay?
He's a tough old bird.
He's
running.
no, that's
I shouldn't
awesome.
say old because he's younger than me.
Yeah, please don't put us in all that category.
Yeah.
We don't think we're old.
No.
Bob's a kid as far as I'm concerned.
So anyway, so we'll talk about the one that you actually have pulled papers and did that, the city council part, right?
And defended.
So in terms of the city council, why are you running?
So initially, I was pulling papers just for school committee, because I'm passionate about all of our children, because our children are our future. And then I realized, my daughter is 26, going to be 27 years old. She's nonverbal autistic. And, I took her home, because I was not happy with the standards of care that she was receiving in this beautiful group home. But staff turnover was huge. Residential supervisors in 4 years, she had 5 of them. So communication with her day program was almost non-existent. And so I took her home and I realized there is no voice for her other than myself and everyone who works with her. And she now lives back in Lowell with us, and I was like, this isn't just about the school, this is about all of our individuals, all of our people that we love, everyone in the city who does not have a voice. They live here, whether they're registered to vote or not, I want to be that voice. So it expanded. What is available when someone doesn't have a voice? Who can be that voice? And what I've learned since I came here in 1994 to UMass Lowell is that people look to me to be that voice. I speak Brazilian Portuguese. My husband's from Brazil, and I've been to Brazil multiple times. And a lot of the Latino community, the Brazilians, obviously especially, look to me for help with their children, with what's going on. Sherri, explain this to me. I don't understand. And I point them in the right direction. Or I help them, specifically by making a phone call or accompanying them to, a court date for whatever reason. So it expands beyond. And then we have the homeless population, the unhoused. And that could be someone missed 2 paychecks and now they can't afford their rent or their mortgage, and of no fault of their own other than they weren't able to work, maybe they were sick, maybe they just became unemployed. We have other individuals that I know that are in recovery. We have a lot of individuals here in Lowell that are in recovery, but they relapse and they need the support. So those are some of the reasons. The other is everyone's complaining about our roads. Everyone wants us to be green and walkable. So we cut down all the trees, put up more houses, take away our green space, yet we pay this extra $25. Is it just the whole year or is it every quarter? I meant to look that up before I came.
You're talking about the community preservation?
Yeah, what are we preserving in the community? And the biggest thing that we all talked about when they were asking us was open space. And is that money being used to preserve open space?
So that depends on your community.
There's three uses for the CPC money.
Thank you.
Open space is one of them.
Yep.
Affordable housing is another, and historical preservation is the third. So by law, those funds have to be separated. So if you were to take a look at the city accounts, you'd see a set-aside accounting entry for community preservation, and you're supposed to have an oversight committee in place that makes recommendations as to where those monies can be spent. And those are the only 3 areas, and you can mix and
Correct.
match, all right? I mean, you can do 50% one, 10%, that kind of thing. So, yeah, so that's what happens. I don't know what the rate is in Lowell.
Yes, it's on a yearly basis.
It's on a yearly basis.
Yeah, but what are we in Chelmsford? Is it 0.5%? I forget. Or is it
Oh, I don't
1%?
remember.
We started off, I think, at 0.5, and we might be up to 1. I think you can go
I
as
think
high.
there was
You can go as high as 1.5%. I think.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
cap to it. And we started at the maximum only because we had matching funds from the state. in
Yeah,
order
but as
to-
more communities bought
Yes,
into
then
it,
that decreased.
then the matching fund part of it decreased. So, yeah.
So you'd have to first find out where what the committee is, because
Right.
it's the committee that determines that. I'm assuming, based upon whatever the charter is or whatever the details are, that the city council would be somebody that would have to okay that, and
Yeah,
the mayor,
It
you know, and
is,
the-
it is the council.
Right,
Yeah.
because in Chelmsford, it's different because we have representative town meeting.
Yeah.
So we actually, as a group, approve that because it's a financial expenditure. And then they can also borrow money. If
Right.
if you don't have enough money in the coffers, then they also can borrow money and then pay on that if they want to do open space.
But again, the city council would have to approve that.
In Lowell. In other
Right.
communities, it may be something different. So that's something that you could look into to see exactly how much power you actually have as a city council in order to determine.
I think Lowell has had relatively recent that they've adopted that. They weren't among the first communities to do CPC, so.
Right, well, that's something that you could look up.
Right.
I mean, if that was like one of your major issues, you could try to get on that committee. That
Well,
would
it's probably
determine
a-
what they do.
It's probably a lot of money in Lowell, I would think, because you've got a pretty good property taxpayer base, right?
I don't
so
know, we're gonna
whatever-
do.
Yeah, we've got a
Yeah.
great property
Yeah, so-
taxpayer base.
So, I mean, the CPC funds are probably pretty substantial, I would guess.
So I'm looking it up right now, Community Preservation Committee, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so there's applications for proposals, One Plus Lowell Community Housing, East End Club Community Housing, Suffolk Place Community Housing, St. Anne's Historical Preservation, 484 Merrimack Street Historic Preservation, Mass Mills,
So those are the things that they are,
No green things there?
I don't see any green things. It's
okay.
all historic and housing.
well, it'd be interesting if
and-
you have any space at all that you could preserve in Lowell.
Yeah.
Because as a city, it's
It's,
more
yeah,
difficult.
probably more difficult in a city, right.
So what the suburban communities, not all of them, but many of them have done is, as large land space has come up for sale,
Yes.
sometimes what those people will do is to contact the Community Preservation Committee first. And that's how we've preserved some of the open space, because there were farms. There's no farms currently,
We
as
have
I know,
over,
that's in
Chelmsford,
Lowell.
we have over 1,000 acres of open space that the town has bought back from private hands to keep,
Right.
to keep it from being developed, for example.
Correct.
But you probably don't have quite that much of an
No.
option in Lowell. I would-
We did. It's now been bought.
It's now been bought, yeah.
Right, we have, right? John, we have, right? We have in Lowell had many open spaces that are now just being developed. Believe it was 80 permits plus that were pulled last year just for housing development, which
Well,
is
see, Lowell's big
up.
problem right now is they're just, the city is allowing people to build with no parking.
Exactly, exactly.
That's our biggest problem.
That's a
And then
problem.
second, about the green space, this European plant that's coming from Switzerland, part of their plan is to take some of the South Common and put housing on that. So what do you do with it? We don't have a lot of green space.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
We're not preserving any of it. We're not preserving any of
Well,
it.
yeah, not in your city.
No, but that was what everyone said
And I'm a
they
little foggy as
wanted.
to when they say the South Common, do they mean the South Common District?
Hmm.
And talking to John Dakota yesterday, I got the impression that they're going to take some of the grass off the South Common for development for this Switzerland thing.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Front
to me.
Runner City, that's what it's
But
called.
what do I know?
Yeah, well, and this is part of it, and
Yeah.
this is part of it. There is no transparency. We don't even understand what's going on with our city council going to Geneva. And it could be something good, or it could be something that, most of the people in the city don't want, but we're not fully understanding any of it because the transparency isn't there. And how can the people of the city have a voice if we don't even understand what's being presented?
But Sherri, Lowell has been spinning its own wheels since before you were born. Okay, we wouldn't have the national park if we didn't try to spin our own wheel.
I was
Sometimes
waiting
we get
for
lucky,
Corey.
Sometimes we don't. Councilor Robinson's watching this morning.
So,
And he says, due to significant investment in green space from ARPA, there has been a focus on historic
so
and housing.
So I'd
that-
like to know where the green space
Yes.
is, please, that you
Yes.
use the opera funds for.
that tells me, okay, so they've decided to allocate ARPA money for that, but exactly, what?
That's
what are-
improving green space. It's not
Existing green
what
space?
existing green space.
Okay, where is the existing green space?
Well, that's what I just asked. If he
Right.
could
Yeah.
list where those spaces are that they purchased.
They didn't purchase any. They didn't. They're selling. They're selling over surplus property in Lowell. They're selling.
Well, you have to be careful when you say selling surplus property, because you have to define what surplus property is. It's property that the city owns, but that doesn't mean that that's green space. It could be anything, and it could be
Could be an old
landlocked.
school building, an old
Yeah, it could-
firehouse.
Yeah, it could be any number of
I've
things, any
looked.
categories.
I've looked,
But he can
'cause-
certainly list it.
Well, yes, I would love that, and that's part of the transparency. I'm not saying that we're doing something, that there's something good or bad happening. It's that we don't even understand what's happening. But I have looked at some of the property that's listed as surplus, and it's open space, maybe in front of a property, and it's green open space.
Sam, you want to read this one?
Dracut does a pretty good job preserving land. The Beaverbrook Farm is a gem in the town. Jay, yes, they do. But there's a lot of open and green space in Dracut. so-
They also have the farms, I mean, you've
Right.
got
Yes.
big
Right.
stuff out there. And you can actually see it, because it's acres and acres and acres. It's not, 6,000 square
Yeah,
feet.
Dracut is not Lowell.
Drake, it is not Lowell.
Well, the same thing with Chelmsford. I mean, and they're run differently. and
Well,
the
Chelmsford's
politics
more
different.
developed than Dracut is, but still,
Yes.
we still have a lot of green space in town, so.
And we're running out of other space to develop too. And then you have all of the stuff that comes down from the state with regard to the MBTA and affordable housing and their definitions, and it's just too much interference from outside sources. So we're looking at trying to figure out what green space they could actually purchase to preserve. Again, it can be a matter of definition, so it's always that you have to, pinpoint them and basically say, give me a list. As far as the school thing, when you were speaking about the schools, currently you are an advocate if people are coming to you and asking you for either your advice or explanations. And as far as that goes, is there a significant Brazilian population where you're running that if they all were registered voters, that a write-in would get you that seat?
In regards, Belvedere, as we know, because it has so many single-family homes, vote. And so that's part of it, is that if I'm as a write-in for school committee, it would be, there are Brazilian families that are in Belvedere that I know, and I'm sure, and I hope that they would be voting for me. But there's also the population that is not Brazilian that would love to vote for me because I know their families. And because I am such a passionate advocate for special education and for improving our schools. And
So do you have ideas as far as the education part of it goes? If you've gone through the education program in Lowell, you see where there's deficits. So do you have a plan or a proposal or ideas that you would present before your school committee to change it, to improve it, to add more money to it?
Well, she's thinking about that answer. Sam, can you read this?
Rowley's farm was preserved with some of the community preservation funds, okay?
How big is it?
That's good. That's good to know.
Yep, that was one.
Rowley's Farm's a big chunk of land over in Pawtucket.
yes.
The-
My wife used to get
yeah,
great corn over there.
But CPC, we've had CPC for about 20 years now in the state, and the program is old enough so that it has become controversial in a lot of communities, because there are people who just, they feel they're being overtaxed generally. And then
Right.
they see, oh, well, it's 1%, 1.5%, whatever it is, being allocated to these uses which are not, in their minds, critical use, all right? So it has become controversial, and I've even in Chelmsford, where I think it's been pretty successful, there are folks in our town who are not happy about CPC money. They think that should not be done and should stay with the taxpayer. So you probably have that contingent as well in Lowell, I would think. People who just don't even support the program
Well,
at
when
all.
we were getting money from the state where it was matching, that's how we got it passed.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because everybody's going, well, it's free money.
Exactly.
It isn't really free, we paid
Yeah,
into it.
But like any other government program, it morphs over time. you
Well, I
know.
can list them, almost.
yeah.
With my involvement over the past, 40 years?
Yeah.
So-
What happened to all the smoking cessation money?
Well, I was part of that when we had the grants.
Yep.
And then we applied for all the grants, and we said, okay, we want to do this, and...
Yep, and 5 years later, it all goes to the general fund.
Right, well,
I mean,
that's the
it's
same
bait-
thing that
it's-
the
it's-
lottery money was
That's what the
supposed-
state does, it's bait and switch, okay?
The lottery money was supposed to support the food stamp
Yep.
program.
Yep.
My father was on the cutting edge of that before they actually did it. He said, this is a program that will be riddled with fraud. He said, it's open for a lot of problems. And we've seen that over the years, but not any of it comes to the surface for you to
In the
do
state
anything.
where we don't allow an auditor to audit,
Yeah, that was the other thing.
after
is
the public
wanted
told
it-
the auditor, we want you to audit, and the state reps go like, oh, no.
And yet we vote for the same people over and over again.
The speaker runs, right now, the Speaker of the House can take away the Rourke Bridge money. So the state reps are all going to be quivering in their shoes until they get reelected next time around, because they're afraid that the Speaker of the House will take the Rourke Bridge money. And he can do it in a heartbeat.
You shouldn't have that kind of power. If the people
Welcome
really,
to Massachusetts. You don't like it? You know our motto, move.
Yeah, it's no
I'm
different.
trying.
It's no different, it's no different in any other state. Just
Yeah.
the
I'm
emphasis
trying
is,
to move.
it's the same everywhere.
It's
It's just
corrupt.
the emphasis is different.
In
That's
my book,
leave.
it's corrupt. It's a guy right now, it could be a gal. The speaker has too much power.
If you are a state rep and you take action with the foremost thought in your brain, how do I stay in office? If that's your most important criteria, then you're corrupt, in my opinion.
Bud Caulfield,
You're elected to office, and the only way to do it, in my opinion, you're elected to office, and your mindset is, I'm elected to this term, and I'm going to do my best. And if people don't like it, then they can vote me out of office. That is the correct mindset, and you are talking maybe about 5% of the politicians, because 95% of them are more concerned about holding on to their jobs. That's the corruption. And
maybe you remember Bud Caulfield, maybe you don't.
I
Mayor of
remember
Lowell.
him vividly. He was not only was he a good counselor, he was a good human being, or is a good human being.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's retired now. I
Good
talk to him
voice,
now
too.
and then, but he put into my ear a long time
Like
ago.
tomorrow.
Most of the people in the city council, state rep,
Mm-hmm.
state senator, they say, how should I vote on this issue to keep this seat?
Absolutely
Not what's
correct.
the best thing for the Commonwealth.
Absolutely
or the
We can
correct.
city.
see that. You can see that on a daily basis when they open their mouth.
In Lowell, it's how do I get my daughter a job? I'm going to vote to get my daughter a job. I don't want to tick off the manager or the UMass Lowell president or the head of Lowell Housing because they have jobs and my daughter needs a job.
Well, when I was on school committee, I didn't make decisions I didn't make popular decisions.
No, and I didn't either when I was on the select board, as we all know,
No,
because I got
yesterday-
voted out of office.
Yesterday, we had a
Term
guy
limits.
left.
We had a guy
Term
walking
limits,
around
we have
Lowell
term
yesterday
limits.
Yep.
with
We
a
need them.
rifle. And it looked to be an automatic rifle. To my eye, it looked like to be I don't know what kind of, but it looked to be an automatic rifle. Evelyn, how did you find out that there was a guy walking around the Highlands with a gun yesterday? Did you know?
No.
Okay, Sam, did you know?
I saw it on the news.
Okay. Sherri, did you know?
Justin Ford, who's at UMass Lowell, posted. I did not find on any other source
So if
initially.
my father goes missing at 3 o'clock in the morning, the Lowell police will call my phone at
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning and say, old Mr. McDonough is missing. He's wearing these clothes. Why didn't we get a reverse 911 call yesterday?
Thank you. I was saying that to everyone. I said, why are we having to search everywhere trying to figure out what's going on?
I
Why
had
didn't we get
mothers
that?
standing at bus stops looking for their kids to show up. And sadly, the rumor, but nobody knows, the schools were locked down. They didn't let the kids out.
Really? Oh, I didn't hear
That's
that.
a rumor.
So, John, I was on my way
That's what the news
down
report
from New
was, right?
Hampshire. So on 495, I mean, everything was fine, and all of a sudden, it was kind of like, why is there traffic now? And in my rearview mirror, I could see flashing lights. For the first time, they were white flashing lights.
Well, coming down from Cow Hampshire yesterday, coming down from Manchester,
Sure.
blue lights. It was a mass cruiser flying down to a.
There were
He
two.
must have been a
So,
Nemlac.
so there were two, one unmarked and one regular.
I only saw the
White-
unmarked.
White lights, that's the first two. Go along a little ways, you see some coming up, and I'm thinking, there must be a massive accident, okay? Then I see two more. So I make sure I'm over enough so that they can pass me.
So-
Now, as I approach the Lowell connector, where, 495, and then you've got the connector 3, and then 3 South. And I'm seeing my rearview mirror, two more, white blinking, white lights and blue, like a strobe. And they were taking one of those exits, which
It
I'm
just
assuming
means
is the
that those are
connector.
called takedown lights.
Whatever it was, I hadn't seen that in a
White-
long time.
White lights that they have on the, he just hit the wrong button.
So I
Yesterday, when I
looked
did-
online, I just want to let you know, I looked to see what it was, and I saw nothing. Then Glenn last night said to me, well, didn't you know this, that, and the other thing? It's all over Facebook. I said, well, I don't access Facebook all the time.
Exactly.
And so when I
exactly.
got on Facebook, He knew I had posted what I had said to you, and saw that, and as I'm scrolling down, somebody's going, this is AI. Somebody had created whatever this was to create a problem. So they had analyzed what it was, and that's what they had determined, that it was AI, that it wasn't really somebody that had an AR-15.
A lot of sick people out there.
So anyway, do you know any more about it than that, John?
Are you done?
Yes, I
Are
am.
you sure? So what happened, I got a text yesterday
okay.
about what was going on,
Weekly.
and I called Frascarelli, the guy, WCAP news guy, and I said, Gary, you know there's a guy running around with a rifle. And so I sent him the text. So then he woke up and he stopped his nap and he called WCAP and he got it out on the radio station. That's what was going on.
What time did it happen, do you know?
2:38 is when the guy was walking, that's
so
our police
afternoon.
report.
Okay.
The guy was walking down a trail next to a UMass housing complex up in the Highlands with a rifle. And somebody captured it on video. That's the only reason the cops believed the person, because there's a video of it.
They showed that on the news, yeah.
Yeah, without that video, it wouldn't have got the rise it got yesterday.
Probably, yeah.
Because it was a real rifle with a, looked like it had a bullet clip in the thing, and big time. So it was serious stuff. But the city fell down on their duty, because I understand the chief of police for UMass Lowell sent all the children, I should say all the students, a text.
Every 15 minutes, from what I
So
understand.
the kids, the students knew what was going on. But Lowellians up in the Highlands, mothers waiting at bus stops, had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So what's the rule in the city? I mean, what triggers a
Well, Sam,
reverse call?
if you go missing at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're going to say Sam Chase. He's wearing a blue sport jacket, a blue shirt, a blue tie. He's gone missing. He's last seen walking down Middlesex Street in Lowell.
So a missing...
3 o'clock in the morning, you'll get a text and a phone call.
So a missing person that's part of the rule. So if you're a missing person, you'll always get it. So
Or a senior alert
so
or a
why
child alert.
why doesn't something like this fall into that category, is my question.
It could.
I think that the person was busy doing other stuff.
The person who does the reverse calls?
Well, the chief of police in
Oh.
Lowell fell down on his duty yesterday.
Well,
The city manager will not be asked anything about this issue because they all want jobs for their kids. And it's terrible what's happening in Lowell. No one will ask the manager, why didn't we get a 911?
I'll ask him. Why didn't we get a
I'll ask
911
him.
call? You can ask him.
Well, Sherri, do you
I'll
think
ask
you should
them.
have got
Yeah.
one?
100%. We were all scouring the web trying to figure out what was going on. There was nothing on the Lowell police page. There was, the only thing that we were seeing was UMass Lowell. And we were all like, where's the reverse 911? Like, where is it? Why is that not happening? That was what everyone was saying. And a lot of families were in fear. My neighbor, my son was over at the neighbor's house, and I went over, I was like, you guys are inside. And he said, well, there's an active shooter. And using that word, we don't know what's going on, but that's part of it.
That's the issue, okay? Because in the absence of information, you're going to supply your own information, which is going to be
Exactly.
worse.
Exactly.
So the guy apparently the guy never fired a shot, but now Sherry's sitting here and people are talking about an active shooter. So it wasn't an active shooter, it was a guy carrying a weapon, okay?
So, but now
So
there
you don't-
has been
but you
stuff
don't know.
circling.
Just a second, Sam, want to
Go
read
ahead.
these two,
Yeah,
please?
what a shocker. Government lied, really. They are never in it for us, always for themselves, lies and more lies. The news didn't put it on till 4 o'clock. Yeah, I didn't see it till 5 o'clock news. But when Karen Reed verdict was being read, they broke into the program. Yep, horrible people in the media. Well, it's not about the news, Mr. Caller there. It's about ratings. So they make decisions based on what they think is going to be most appealing to their audience. So they've made the judgment that more people are interested in Karen Reed's situation than they are in somebody carrying a rifle in Lowell. That's the decision they make, okay? So that's the story they lead with.
So anyway, I asked you a question about school committee. Like what, do you have any proposals? Have you reviewed their their budget, their curriculum, is there anything, because when you're saying that, because I would call you an advocate for education currently, because you're an individual that people will call and say, what does this mean? You're able to explain it, and that helps them, so you're advocating for them to a certain extent. I understand how that goes. I was 18 years on a school committee. So, people would call and they knew that they'd get a straight answer, whether it was popular or it wasn't, because it wasn't like I needed it. I wasn't getting any money for it, so I wasn't in it for the money. But to actually try to make sure that everybody knew what was going on and why it was going on, and to try to make sure that we didn't have too many things that went super liberal, because we're not at the time anyway, we were not in a super liberal community. So you want to have
So
caution.
after Sam reads this, we're going to have to zero it on,
Wark Bridge isn't going anywhere. It has started way too many wheels in motion, like 4 cranes en route from Germany to build it.
Oh, that's
Oh,
interesting.
now that's
so
an
Jeff,
interesting.
do you really think
German cranes, huh?
you can tell the speaker, don't pull the money? You think the speaker's going to take your call? Go ahead, call the speaker. See if he takes your call, Jeff. The speaker can pull that money anytime he wants.
The Wark Bridge is like the Bruce Freeman bike trail. I never thought it would be done, but eventually it got done. So that's,
And Sherri, you got about 22 minutes left.
I have a
Because you got to
question.
go drive your kiddo to school, so.
Yes, and the
I have
other
a
Let's talk
guy's
about
saying it's-
candidacy.
Do they teach cursive writing in the
Oh,
Lowell
my
school
goodness.
system?
So I ran in 2019 for the school committee, and that was one
Really?
of the
Oh, I
things.
hit a button there,
You
huh?
hit a button
Okay.
right there. And all over the world, we're seeing our kids on computers and phones is not beneficial to them starting at an early age. We need to get back to pen and paper, books,
Oh, you got my vote.
100%. I'm huge about cursive. Cursive works your brain. You remember when you write things down. It involves, all different parts of your brain. If you see it on a computer screen, it's the same computer screen a million times over. It's going to make it very hard to retain this information.
Well, the other thing is, if you don't learn it, you won't be able to read things that are written in cursive. That's
Well-
almost a bigger problem than not knowing how to write it, I think.
That's a huge issue.
Yeah.
There's children I say children, they're teenagers working at wherever, and one of us writes them a check.
And they
And
can't
I know
read it.
they can't read it.
Right.
Can you write that in English?
When we had an individual that was in the town office.
This is a funny story, but
Okay.
it's true.
So people were running for office, and
Worked in the town clerk's office.
when the nomination papers came in, that person could not read the written signatures. So they said the new thing is that make sure that when you get your signature, they print the name next to it.
Yeah, because this person could not read cursive.
And so how do you have a very specific signature? Because everybody has one, it's like a fingerprint. And how do you do that if you can't write cursive? Because printing, you can make it look, it's easier to have, what do you want to call it, fraud, with a printed signature than it is with a written one.
100%.
Forgery.
There's a lot of articles that's out there, I've had some, we've had this
Yes.
conversation here
That's good.
several
You're a
times.
cursive person. I like that.
Right, and so was I. And you have to be careful, because they can say, oh, we teach cursive. The next question is, when do you teach it? What do you do when you teach it? How long do you have during the year that you teach it? And do you have the students actually provide samples of that? And eventually, everything has to be written in cursive as they move through the grade level. Because when I asked about cursive, because my granddaughters are in school in Chelmsford. Oh, yeah, Grandma, they teach that. For about 3 weeks at the beginning of such and
Right,
such a year. So
Right.
they can
Right.
be honest and say, yes, we teach it.
Yes.
But you have to find out all the details with regard to that.
They're not drilled in it. They don't
No.
become proficient. I would say, rather than describe it as they teach it, I would say they introduce it. Okay, that's probably a more accurate way
Yeah.
of describing it,
But anyway, that's one of the
Right.
things. So,
Sam, can you take this?
Okay, respectfully, Adults are equally as addicted to their devices. Yes, they are. Most
Yes, they
adults
are. Mhm.
nowadays don't even write checks.
Well, and they also don't know how to balance a checkbook.
That's true.
No, they don't. That is 100%.
Yeah.
But all of the adults nowadays were not taught the way that our children are being taught. So people will say, oh, how do I reset myself? I'm so addicted to technology. And you can take 2 weeks away, and the three of us up here will reset because we had a childhood free of this. What do the children that have started from the time they're out of the womb, seeing a cell phone, which didn't exist when we were children, how do they reset when they know no time without it?
And it's funny because sometimes the kids know it. My 10-year-old granddaughter said to me the other day, she says, Papa, I don't know how you managed without computers. I mean, she can't even conceive that, you could actually live life without the technology, and because that's all she's ever known growing up, How did you do it?
Well, Sam, you didn't grow up with a computer in your pocket.
No, but that's the point.
Did you have a calculator?
No, I had a slide rule when I was in high school.
Yeah,
Because
so
as soon as those handheld calculators
Yeah.
came out, Texas Instruments had them.
Oh, yeah.
Texas
they were-
Instruments.
Early 1970s.
Loved it. And the nuns thought it was the end of the world. You can't be using that. You can't use a calculator.
But the point is, if you never had it, you don't miss it, okay? I mean, and that's what I said to her. I said, if the thing doesn't exist, we don't know about it.
Right.
And so it's not a big deal. You work with what you have at the moment,
I
okay?
think the handheld cell phone should be incorporated into the school system to be used in a positive fashion.
100,
going
and
away.
safely, John, safely.
Well, in Chelmsford, the students are all issued computers.
In Lowell, we
And in
have our
Lowell, is it the same
Chromebooks.
thing? Yeah, exactly.
They have their Chromebooks.
So they're all issued computers.
Which they have,
Right.
they take from school to home. It's another thing
Right.
so we're never shutting down.
Right.
And our children, we talk about mindfulness now. And there was this comedian, and I love it, and I'll share it later with all of you. And he said, mindfulness. I watched condensation chase itself on the bus driving home when I was a child. And everyone, that resonated with them. That was our mindfulness. We had downtime where you had to be with yourself. And our children are not being with themselves because they have their computer, they have their phone, they're gaming. And
Well, I think the biggest concern that I have is the influencing, and the lack of, screening the screen time.
right, for
So
safety.
you have a lot of different, what do you want to call it, legislation to keep the cell phones out of the schools. Some of that is, to a certain extent. You have teachers in the past that have said, you drop your phone at the door in a box, you get it back later.
That's what my wife did when she taught fifth
Yeah,
grade.
and that was a while ago.
But are our teachers doing that too? I'm not putting it back, like, this is the
In
thing,
Chel-
it's
in
like
Chelmsford,
practice what
yeah.
you preach.
In Chelmsford, they leave it up to the schools. So the individual school can make its own rule. But as far as I know, all the schools in our town are pretty similar. They require that the cell phone not be accessible to the child during the school day. So they're allowed to bring it into the school. They put it in their locker, for example. So if something does come up, they can access it. But they're not allowed to have the phones during class time.
I understand that,
Okay.
but once again, the adults that our children are watching have their phones all the time. And granted, children,
point.
adolescents, they don't.
Every
They
3
don't.
years, I think, I think in Chelmsford, it's every 3 years they swap out the computers.
Can I add my own technology to my Chromebook?
No,
No,
Can't add anything to that?
No, it's programmed from the school, and
No.
it's whatever's in the
it's
books,
supposed to be a learning tool, and
and you access whatever is in the curriculum, the homework, and then there's links that they have, that they send to parents, so that the parents can monitor what the kids are doing on the Chromebook.
My,
In terms of homework, instead of paper, you now have a computer.
It's amazing. So my oldest granddaughter last year was in the 6th grade, and she did, as far as I know, at least when I watched her, she did all of her math homework on the computer. I don't ever remember seeing her fill out a paper or anything like that. So she'd say, well, I have homework now, and she'd go to the computer, and she would do it on the computer, which, you know, I mean, that's the way they do it, right?
Right,
So-
but in regards to retention, we get back to cursive and writing things down. We cannot just learn visually. We need to do other things.
Oh, I agree, absolutely right.
And that doing it visually or even, audio, hearing it, isn't going to encompass all the different ways that our children, all of us, need to learn. I mean, that's one of the first questions when you're taking a webinar or when you're going to a class. How do you learn? Well, I learn with pen and paper. Are you going to make that accommodation? And we talk about 504s and IEP. We live in a city. So we have a lot of children that are English language learners that are on IEPs, 504s. Do we have a 504? They can't use a Chromebook because they need to learn on pen and paper? Does that make sense?
Well, they're supposed
Good
to,
question.
you know that, if you're involved in special education, that if it's better for the child to use the paper, that's supposed to be in their IEP.
Supposed
If
to
it's-
be.
I'm just saying, and the question is, if it is in there, is the teacher reading it? The next thing is if it says that they need to have a device because that best suits the needs, the learning needs and style of the student, that's supposed to be in there. So it's supposed to be detailed enough so that you know what you're supposed to be doing in order to maximize the learning capabilities of that individual.
But you said device. So the kids already have a device. We need to go the other way now. They need to get to paper.
Yes, but some can't. Now, when we have an
Right.
Arts and Technology Education Fund in Chelmsford, that is a town. It's donations and stuff, and I've been involved in it next year, 30 years. So we would get teachers apply for funds, and it's a wide range of things. We would sometimes have sped teachers apply for certain, we'll say, devices, okay? It's not this, but devices that made it easier for their students to either to understand or communicate, because they may be nonverbal, but they were able to communicate somehow with what it was that this teacher wanted to implement that was not part of the budget and not necessarily part of an IEP. But they had found this out and through research and wanted to try it out as a trial basis because that's how that fund operates. So sometimes, I believe that you need to have a certain amount of time during the day that the kids aren't on these devices, because, for a variety of reasons. They should be able to feel the paper as far as reading a book is concerned. And getting the right answer should not always be the bottom line. I taught high school chemistry.
Yes.
In the 70s, and you had calculators. I said, just show me how you fill the appropriate numbers in. I don't care what you get over here, as long as I can see you understand what the process is.
100%. They need to know the process.
So,
And when
you
you're on a
teach-
computer, half the time, you don't.
True. Yep, so
Right,
we
'cause
got
it's all
about 10
behind the
minutes.
scenes.
Less than
Yeah.
10 minutes left. So it is interesting talking about education, because, that's me.
Right.
What I love to do. Now, on the city council,
So can we just step back? So my daughter's nonverbal autistic, so in regards to dedicated devices, and that's probably the word that you were looking for in regards to getting equipment, my daughter has a communication device. I highly recommend anyone who has an IEP and their child needs a dedicated device. So that would be a device that they would use for communication or for those things, to go through their insurance and not just rely on the school district.
It's a good point.
Okay, because the school will provide devices that are needed at school. Guess what? That child's voice is needed the whole day around. And at the end of the year, they're not just going to give back their voice or give back that type of technology. So I highly recommend going through your insurance. And these are other things that I can bring and then piggyback on the city council, is that there are services that people are not aware of. So Mass Health, our individuals that have disabilities, irregardless if you have commercial insurance, are eligible for Mass Health. So it could either be by a premium assistance, so you're eligible for Mass Health, you could make decent money, you have to pay for your Mass Health because with the disability, common health, and then you can get premium assistance, which will help to pay for, will pay for the premium for your commercial insurance. So because Mass Health sees your family or your individual is working, so hence Mass Health is paying less. So between your insurance companies, you can get these dedicated devices. These are all different things that I can bring that would actually help to reduce the cost to the district underlying. I've been doing IEPs for over 20 years with my daughter, with my other children with special needs. I see where improvements need to be made. We have a lot of kids going out of district in Lowell. That costs a fortune, my children included. And Lowell needs to look at how can we serve these children here in the district. Our city-owned buildings, one of them being on the corner of Plain Street and Chelmsford Street, that's a school, it's despicable. The play yard is all holes like our street. The shingles are falling off the building. And we need to improve this. We want to be a destination city for people to get educated. Are you kidding me? Start with just educating the kids that are here. And we also need diversity dashboard. So I apologize for interrupting.
Hey,
No,
it's-
this is
it's
your
your-
time.
you're the candidate,
Yeah,
right?
it's your time. Interrupt anytime you want. So on city council, which is where you've pulled your papers.
Yes.
Yep, and so you'll be on the ballot. Is there a
Yes.
competition? Will there be a primary for you?
There is no primary. No one was running otherwise against Kim Scott, who's currently in South Lowell. And
And she's been on, what, she's had, what, 3 terms?
is it 2 or 3?
I know it's at least 2. And Kim was on the school committee for a short period.
Kim was on the school
Yes.
committee as well, so she's aware of what goes on in our schools. And my children, actually, we went to the Pine together, and special education in regards to our children everywhere is lacking. And there are some teachers that do such a great job, but we need to stop dividing our children up.
So Sherri, since you
everywhere.
can, in your mind, you can only hold one post.
Correct.
Which post do you think you'd like to hold?
Which post would I like to hold?
Which office?
Which office, if you get elected
If
to
you, if
both?
you, if you get elected to both, now you have to make a choice. What's your choice? Or would
Let
you-
me see what happens.
you-
Let me see what
no,
happens, because
and that's a fair answer.
I was going to say that's the right answer, by the
Yeah,
way.
that's a fair answer.
Because then you're determining who's going to vote for you and why. So you
Exactly.
got to be careful.
Right.
Well, and also, the city council determines money. They just took $4 million away from our school budget. And that's,
And we have a school committee that let that happen.
exactly,
And
that's not okay. And you talk about the mayor's on both.
And where's
So-
that $4 million going? Is-
If my daughter's going to get a job, I'm not going to buck the system.
Well, I'm not looking, I mean, I need staff for my daughter, so if somebody wants a job, maybe they can help my daughter.
So
My
if they
daughter
took-
needs a job, I'm not
so-
bucking the system.
So they had, so what you're saying is the school committee preliminary budget, I guess, had $4 million allocated to school operations, and the city council said, no, we need the $4 million. Where did the $4 million go? Do you know?
Is this a future budget or current budget?
This is current, this is right now.
Okay, so that's a
And
problem.
We,
So-
we got 2 million back, but then we had to pay for other things, so it really wasn't 2 million back.
So, when we do budgets in Chelmsford, I do not recall any cuts mid-year. You would get it coming into the new budget, but it wouldn't be necessarily a cut per se unless there was no money available to support it. Or you had put so much into the new budget, and then they PR'd it as, oh, we got to cut this. Well, you didn't cut it because you never had it to begin with. You just had to decrease what you were asking for. So there's a lot of little
Well, they cut
innuendos.
positions, they cut positions.
Well, in
think
many
what-
cases, there's not much left to cut.
I think what might have happened in Lowell, and I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, the city hired people in the schools using ARPA money. And then the ARPA money goes away, and now you have to continue to fund the positions, and I think maybe that was some of it. Okay, I know that's true in some of the communities that surround Chelmsford. Westford, for example, did that. They used ARPA money to fill positions without thinking, well, wait a minute, when the ARPA funds go away, how do we continue to fund these positions? You can't do that. And I think Lowell did that. I think Lowell used ARPA money to hire people.
And that's
Well,
part
they
of what-
created positions, and they
Well,
created expensive positions.
That's what I'm saying. But
Superintendent
then now the
positions.
ARPA money is finite. It's one-time money. It goes away. How do you continue to pay the person? Well, you can't, so you gotta let them go, all right? And that's probably, I'm guessing that's what happened.
So anyway, you
Yeah.
have about 2 minutes. So if you want to make some concluding remarks, that doesn't limit the fact that you can come back.
Oh, sure.
All right.
You got plenty of time,
So,
right?
you know, whether it's this show or a different show, it's at your discretion,
Election is
obviously, to let
in
John know.
November, right?
Yes, and we don't
Yeah.
have a
No primary.
Right, exactly. So in regards to the city council, it's not just about that part of the budget, it's the transparency. I and everyone else want to know where our tax money is going. There's so many issues about parking. I believe the residents of Lowell pay the brunt of that. It's not like people coming into our community that are, helping to create revenue. It's the people already living in Lowell and paying taxes and paying ridiculously high rents as they are, that are also paying for these parking fees. And I'd like the transparency on that. Along with the fact that our roads, forget about being walkable or bikeable, they're not drivable. So how are we going to get that in place? And what is the improvement? I put in to fix a street, a corner of a street that has spray painted, fix it, over on Marshall and Grand. I put in 2 requests through our 311 system. About 3 weeks later, I got that it was resolved. I drove back, it's still there. So I'm kind of wondering what the resolve is. The resolve is they're not going to do anything about it because it's not in Belvedere.
I'm getting texts from people telling me that 311 doesn't work, so I've never tried it.
Well, you just got it here. She just told you it didn't work.
Anyway,
once I'm
thank you
done, I
very
call
much
later.
for being here this
Thank you
morning.
so
And like I
much.
said,
You're
that
welcome.
you can come back, and we had some nice conversation.
Thank you, I appreciate
And
it.
that, so we're going to be going to a short break. I
Oh,
think
good.
that
I
the
need
Facebook
coffee.
page will still be on, so we have to remember that we're still being
We're
recorded.
still being listened to.
Yes.
Hot
and we
mic,
do have-
everybody, be careful.
We're expecting
Yeah, hopefully you
Marcos
say
Candido and
something
Corey
good.
Belanger. You're supposed to contact the cemetery commissioner, and they, oh, you go online,
I did, I looked it up on the map, so I know where it is.
because I did that in Mount Walton Cemetery, to look up some different things, and sometimes they have a lot of different.
The old Wayne Towers.
Welcome back to City Life. We're here till 8 o'clock, roughly, so we have enough time. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host for the next 55 minutes or so. Sam Chase is my co-host. Bob Hoey is still recovering, and we hope to see him back as soon as possible. Adds another dimension to our show. John McDonough is...
Sure does.
John McDonough is behind the camera, and sometimes on camera, just depends on what the topic is. Our guest, so far anyway, is Corey Belanger.
Welcome, good morning.
It's been a while, Corey, since you've been on one of my shows.
It has been. Good morning. Good
Yep,
to see you again.
yep,
Sam,
yep.
morning.
This morning.
And to all the viewers.
Yep, and you're running for city council.
Yep.
And so, just in case, there's new people out there that don't know who you are or what you do, and that maybe you can share with the audience, kind of,
Sure,
your
thank you.
brief history. Or if you want to make it longer, feel free. You have 50 minutes.
Thank you. Well, I'm the district, currently the incumbent in District 3, representing Belvedere. This is my third term on the city council. I've been in local government for 25 years, serving just like you both on local boards. I was on the zoning board of appeals for 10 years, chairman of the opioid task force for 10 years, original founder of Winterfest, Lowell Folk Festival, more than 20 years involvement. So very community spirited, have been for a long time. I've been serving my constituents in local government for 25 years. And as I go door to door or we have debates, I'm asking for their vote based on experience and accomplishments. And there's currently three challenges in the race as well. So very contentious, busy election season, but I'm up for the task.
So you will have a primary?
Yes, as in next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay, then you'll just see how you do.
Yep.
That's a key indicator as far as the number of votes you may get
What do you
in
think the
November.
turnout's
It
going to be?
sure is. That's going to be interesting. Belvedere's one of the higher turnout districts in the city, Sam, so I anticipate to be pretty good.
Yeah.
It's very engaged, really. It keeps me very busy, which is a good thing. And, there's, again, 4 candidates total. 2 will advance, the top 2 vote getters will advance to the general in November. So,
Now,
very
have you had
interesting stuff.
debates?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Total of 3 already, yeah.
Wow. And I'm certainly sure that you'll probably have more. I remember when I ran for the Board of Selectmen in '95. It was like every time you turn around, somebody was doing a debate, or you were doing some kind of an interview with the other candidate. I mean, it was really crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
you did get your message across, and you had plenty of time to practice it.
Absolutely. My message has been clear and consistent all the way through, and I feel very good. I like my chances.
And I think, obviously, I think most people understand that the incumbent has an advantage. I mean, you've done 3 terms
Yep.
on the council.
Not
so-
consistent though, Sam, but yes, yeah.
But you know the lay of the land.
Absolutely.
And you know the
Yeah.
players, and you
Yeah.
know the issues. So what do you think the 2 top issues citywide?
Well, it's a very suburban district, kind of sort of resembles Chelmsford
Yes.
in some ways, Very residential, predominantly single-family zoning. And, my constituents, it's basic politics 101. They just want, clean, safe streets, their trash picked up, their streets and sidewalks in good shape. Speeding is an issue, which I've addressed. We now install speed humps on streets. It's one of the latest concepts we've been doing in the last few years, and I've gotten 4 streets done in just over 13 months. So it's very basic, really, but you got to be there when they need you. You got to be responsive, and which I am. There isn't one person I can say I didn't get back to them or he didn't respond to this.
Absolutely critical.
That
right.
don't happen, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't let that happen.
Right, because they're the ones that elect you, and those are
That's
the
right.
ones that
That's what I said at the debates. I answer to you at the end of the day. If you don't like the administration or the way the city's going, I want to hear it. I want to hear all about it. You're the ones that have to come back and answer to at the end of the day, so.
So in your earlier comments, you said that you had certain, achievements. So what are the achievements? Besides the speed bumps, you put some speed bumps in there. I don't know how
Yep.
that works with a snowplow. But, and that's 4 streets. I'm certainly sure there's a lot more than 4 streets. Do people, on that issue though, I'm always interested in this.
Yep.
Do people like them?
Yes, they do. They're going over very well. Yeah, and that's,
They work.
they work. They really
Yeah.
do.
Well,
Yeah, because
yeah,
many
we know
streets
they
are cut-throughs. Lowell's a big cut-through to get off the highways to Drake in New Hampshire especially, and people just want to get home, right? As we do when we get out of work, right? However, they're tearing up residential neighborhoods, using some streets as cut-throughs, and we can see that, and we're doing our best to remediate it. It's by, I try and prioritize, start with the worst first and go down, and if I can get 3-4 streets done per year, I think will be where we need to be in short order.
I think that's huge. If you can,
really is,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you can get that
Those
many.
folks are very happy.
Like our producer says, things move at the speed of government,
Yeah, oh my God,
So
yes,
that's, to
Yeah.
me, that's quite an accomplishment, yeah.
Yeah, and as well as sidewalks, my district's walkability is an issue. People like to walk. I'm sure you see it out in Chelmsford where you are. And so on Douglas Road, it connects Andover Street to Rogers Street, where Colley Stadium is, the Riley School. We recently paved it, and we got approved for sidewalks. But the sidewalks were going to be asphalt initially, black, and we're trying to cut down on what we call heat islands in the city. In other words, black asphalt, we know retains heat, right?
Right.
Much more than concrete in the summer. So in the long-term longevity of it outweighs the small extra 10, 15% cost, so.
For the concrete.
For the concrete. And aesthetically, it just looks better as well. So as we were doing the project, I'm going door to door, how's everything? There was sometimes people couldn't get in their driveway for a day or two, so there was issues, but nonetheless, right now it's done and it's beautiful. But, so my constituents, band it together with a signed petition, petition the council to make, let's make these sidewalks concrete. And so the council approved it, and not only that, it's now it'll be a citywide initiative, that any new sidewalks will be concrete throughout the city.
So there's
money
new products.
well
Right here in the
spent.
disintegrate, it really is.
Money well spent.
Yes.
Right, so there's new products that are out there, though, that concrete will disintegrate over a period of time, especially if you use salt, and the salt gets, on the roads.
Sure.
And they're using far more salt simply because of the Stormwater Act and all the other stuff instead of a lot of the sand. So that doesn't make any sense to me simply because of other environmental issues. However, there are new products out there. So moving forward, I agree with you that not to use the asphalt for a variety of reasons. But some of the products that's out there include, with plastic, glass, it's a recycling type of situation.
Oh,
And
it's
those
interesting.
products
Yeah.
last longer than anything. And some of it is, you might be able to even treat better in the wintertime, so that you don't have to spend as much money in order to keep the streets clean. So that may be something that you might want to take a look at to see.
Sounds very futuristic, Evelyn, yes, right, yeah.
Well, it uses stuff that we don't know what to do with.
Right. I
And
like that, yeah.
Yeah, it may, and like and you could set as an example,
Yeah.
City of Lowell, to, stand up, well, we're using these products, and that is another thing, and especially with Belvedere, where you have single-family homes and you want it to look really nice, but you
Yeah.
also want it to, you can reflect, as you say, more of a futuristic view, and sometimes those individuals like that versus maybe something else.
Yeah, I like that.
I think, I like what you said initially about your focus, about concentrating on what you believe are just the basics and the core things that people want, because I don't think that gets enough emphasis.
Sorry, Sam, this is an important part of the show.
Oh, of course, go ahead.
So, Evelyn, what do we got today?
Okay, so you have carrot cake, but
No
But,
carrots.
there's always the but. There's ground up toasted walnuts, craisins. You like coconut, that's in there. I had mashed up bananas, and there's zucchini.
Thank you.
Wow.
I tasted it this morning, it tastes really good.
Banana,
Sign
zucchini,
me
and
up.
coconut, and you call it
Delicious.
carrot cake? What's the matter with
Well,
you?
the basic,
Okay.
you can see the carrot stuff in it.
Well, according to Sarah Curlin, carrot cake is a vegetable, so you should,
Well, I
you
debated,
should be fine.
So,
Right, so-
right now, John, we're a little fuzzy
That's okay.
on that screen. It looks like,
I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's all right. People think I'm fuzzy anyway. But anyway, I wanted to finish the thought, and so you're,
there we go.
you're focused on very basic stuff,
Yep.
which people are concerned with that affects their daily lives. And, my experience mirrors that. I think that's the way most people are. The problem with a lot of the politicians today is that they're pie in the sky, and that's okay, once you get the basic stuff satisfied.
Absolutely. It's okay
Right.
to think big, but
But, I think, I like your focus, I really do. I think that's very, very basic stuff,
well, yeah, thank you, Sam. And
Yeah.
I've done both. My previous terms were at large, okay? It's a bigger city than you think,
Different.
To cover every block in every
Right.
city. So this district representation has really, really worked out. I had my reservations back in 2020
Mm-hmm.
when it was on the table, and I said, the current system is working, which it was, but this district representation, this allows me to respond to an email, a phone call, or a text, whatever it may be. Okay, what's the problem? Well, I want to go, so my driveway, it rain's coming in. I said, well, let me come see it. I like to know, if I'm gonna call the DPW commissioner, I like to know, I'll get a visual, what I'm talking about. So very often, I'm out the door the same day after work, I log on, I get off 3:34, boom, right out the door, handle a couple local constituent issues, there within minutes, even with traffic, right? So it allows you to have that laser focus on the district where you
That's
should
a
be
good
able to
point.
make improvements, which I have done.
Good,
So, yeah, it's a real good system.
That's a good point. The only thing and like you, I was a naysayer when that first came in.
Absolutely, I was, not gonna lie.
And I've changed my mind, and I think it's probably a better system
Yeah.
for the reasons that you just
Yes.
just mentioned. So,
You can focus more.
Absolutely.
absolutely right. But you don't lose. I mean, you still have to represent the city
Oh,
at
absolutely.
large.
Absolutely.
But your main focus. The one thing that has disappointed me about the change. One of the reasons they touted it, they said, well, it'll increase voter participation, and it has not
No,
done that.
it's gone down,
In fact,
anything, yeah.
it's gone down, which,
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts as to why that
I
might
do.
be?
What I can see is local district councils getting really entrenched by hard work. I mean, and accomplishments and getting back to everybody, making constituents happy, and be entrenched for, a number of terms. And, no challenges. So therefore, the voters don't come out. What are you going to come out for? If you're
Yeah,
looking.
Corey's in, we like what he's
Absolutely, yeah.
doing, so we don't
Yeah,
need to vote.
and I'm not going to lie, that's my objective, Sam, right? That's why I'm
Oh, I
here.
get it, right,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I can see that happening over time where district councils are all doing a great job, and nobody wants to challenge, they know it's a seriously uphill battle, and then voter turnout will lapse, and that goes for a citywide level too. It's a
Right.
tough,
Yeah, we
and
see
that
that
goes for
in Chelsea.
anywhere, yeah. Incumbents are tough, no matter where you are, right? If you're doing a good job, you're an incumbent, you deserve, like I believe I deserve to get reelected, and so that's what I could see over time, Sam, where you see a lot of the same faces for some time and low voter turnout. Matter of fact, worse than probably what it was, if you want the truth. That's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah. Kitchen sink. Yum, kitchen sink cake.
So,
My mother used to call it refrigerator clean out.
Yeah, but
Same
this
thing.
wasn't.
Right.
And it was delicious.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of sidewalks, is the state planning
Yeah.
on improving the sidewalks on Andover Street? They're a mess.
thank you for that. Believe me, I am well aware of it. I grew up on East Merrimack, also born and raised in Belvedere, grew up on East Merrimack, and I'm on Andover Street very frequently. I see it, and I don't like it. Now, we know next spring Andover, speaking of concrete, we had a big forum last November because Andover Street is a state road, it's the concrete blocks. And we had two options. We got a grant from Mass for $4 million, and then the traffic engineer said, Corey, Mass DOT's breathing down my neck, they want a decision. I'm like, well, what are the options? Asphalt overlay, in other words, hot top over it, or remain concrete, repair the joints. I said, okay. I said, well, it's not my decision. It's my constituents, those who live there in the neighborhood. So I put together a forum at the Riley School, and overwhelmingly, the support was to remain concrete because of the uniqueness and the character and
Does
all
not
that.
surprise me.
Yeah, and so I said, okay, I'm a messenger here. So, but nonetheless, back to the sidewalks, I see that. I'm going to try and incorporate some sidewalk repair where the big trees uprooting. I want that just as walkable as Douglas Road is. We connect Colley Stadium to Andover Street to the Riley School is all walkable now. And that's what I want to see for Andover Street. So I assure you, stay in touch with me, stay on me, and I'm going to fight very hard to get some sidewalk repair. Now, you won't see brand-new concrete up and down on both sides. That is a serious, serious amount of money. But some of them are in pretty good shape. Some areas are in good shape. So my objective is to get, identify the problem spots where a stroller can't get by, so to speak, or an ADA, if it's not ADA compliant, and make those repairs at those locations
I'm going to see if I can shut his phone. Keep talking.
to make it walkable.
Is that what
But
that is?
Appreciate your concern on Andover Street, and don't hesitate to call or email me for updates.
And-
I insist you do.
It's a beautiful part of the city.
It really is, yeah.
I used to work at Wang Labs years ago in Tewksbury,
Yep.
and very often went up and down Andover
Yep.
Street, and I
There
always,
you go. It's a big
I
country.
always thought, wow, look at these homes, and
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
It really is. It really is. And then largely, even the people on the street, it was just about 50%, 50, 60% to remain concrete. If you lived on the street, Sam, you wanted asphalt because it quieted. But if you're set back, you like the uniqueness character, and all the side streets, just about everybody wanted.
I love the concrete.
Yeah, it's, so,
roads.
that's it. My constituents have spoken, and
Yep.
I got the signed petition, 130 some odd signatures, put it on the manager's desk, boom. My constituents have spoken, so that's what it's going to be in the spring. Concrete, and then, believe me, sidewalk repair is very much on my radar, so I appreciate that text.
So what else is going on besides that? I mean, you've got locally within the district.
Yep.
There must be some other issues. So you've got traffic.
There is
that
now.
you're addressing, and
Yep.
now you
So
have
with
sidewalk.
having a good handle on the district, that's fine. So there's also citywide responsibilities, Evelyn, as you alluded to
Oh, yeah.
earlier. Now, what I hear from my conceptual lot is that taxes are soaring. We all know that, right? In government, you guys.
Doesn't get any cheaper.
No, you can relate to this. We got fixed costs we have to meet every year. Look at, GIC health costs went up 13% in 1 year. You got the cost of salaries. You got, just like utilities go up at home, they go up for the city too. There is net school spending, charter schools, that goes up. Retirement funds, we have to keep putting in, I think that went up 2 million this fiscal year. So we have fixed costs that we have to meet, unfortunately, just like your cost of living does. But we try and hold the line the best we can. So my objective on a citywide level is to increase the tax base. Now, you two are aware that Lowell's been designated the first front-runner city in the United States. My colleagues just got back from Geneva, Switzerland, to finalize all the parameters.
Now, how did you decide who was going to go? Did you draw straws?
Well, everyone was offered. Nope, everyone was
Okay.
offered. I had too much, I had a very contentious race and too much responsibility in my district, and I had to decline. It believe me, it broke my heart. But, I would have been a part of the world I would have loved to see. Not only that, I would have finalized the deal and worked out all the parameters, if you will, of this Front Runner City initiative, how it's going to work, the financing and all that. But I got a full update coming Tuesday at the council meeting. But it's very good news. So that's going to result, along with the Link project at UMass Lowell. We've been talking about that for a long time. Very exciting stuff. So the combination of the two, the tax base is going to increase exponentially. So that's the relief that the homeowner is going to get. And that's why I'm working so hard on a citywide level on these initiatives, paying attention, giving support wherever I can to make sure these things go off on time and stay on budget so the tax base can soar. Now, this is nothing we're going to see in a residential district like mine in Belvedere.
Right.
This is basically all right here next door at the train station, the commuter rail, around the courthouse, because the neighborhoods are all land poor. There's really nowhere to go. So you're going to see a lot of development coming in off the connector down Thorndike, with the MBTA, the Hamilton Canal District with the courthouse, along going to the UMass Lowell, LaLatcha Park in that area. So it's going to be, in 3 to 5 years, going to be unrecognizable.
So the development will be, what, will it be primarily commercial, residential, or a mix?
It's a mix. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It seems to be the way to go.
So
John?
I got two announcements I'm going to make here. First of all, tonight, at the former Danish establishment, it's now called the,
Oh, yeah, that's a good, I don't know the name, but it's a good spot, yeah.
it's the Trem Capria Brazilian Cuisine Restaurant, 62 Gorham Street. Sexto de Jesus is having this little seminar for small business. So if you got a small business in Lowell, send them a quick email, take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this slide. This is tonight, and I plan on going down there and enjoying this company, see what's happening, just to see what's going on. It'd be a good idea to go down there. So that's tonight, and thank you to Sixto for putting that out there. Mark Ratman sent this from Tewksbury, the 9/11 memorial is coming up on September 11th. And at the corner of Chandler and Route 38, they have a nice memorial there, plenty of green space,
It is nice there,
and
yep.
they get a fantastic crowd. So I plan on being there on September 11th at 7 p.m. And we'll just hope we have good weather. And I want to thank my friend Mark Kratman for putting it out there. Mark Kratman is a mover and shaker like you've never met. He's a good guy. So back over to you guys. I'm going to ask Corey a question. Yesterday, we had quite the scare with a guy walking around
Yep.
with a rifle. And as a city councilor, how did you find out? Because my puzzlement is, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the Lowell police will call my phone, text my phone, and tell me that my father's missing, this is what he's wearing, he's 75 years old, he's walking up Gorham Street.
Yep.
I get a text from the Lowell police and a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Didn't happen yesterday. Corey, how did you find out there's a guy walking around with a gun in Lowell?
I found out through a group text from the assistant city manager, Sean Machado, and the city manager, Golden.
Because I was disgusted to see mothers standing at bus stops waiting for buses that were never going to come because some of the schools got locked down. The rumor was, I don't know if it's factual or not, but I'm understanding some of the schools got locked down.
Yep. The lockdown was lifted.
Why didn't we, as commoners, get a text?
It was we did reverse 311 with alerts.
I got
So
no
don't know
text.
if-
I got no text.
You did not get a text?
I got
Okay.
no text.
That's just what we're all asking, and that went out. We were definitely focused on outreach, McDee, there's no doubt about it, because the area was very
Nobody I know got a text.
Really? Okay.
And the poor mothers that were standing at the bus stop worrying, where the heck is the bus? Did it get an accident? Where is my bus? Terrible.
Okay. Well, we did reverse 311, as well as the city social media outlets as well. So we'll evaluate this. It was a very serious situation, although the gunman was never,
Didn't find him, did
never
they?
confirmed. Was seen, but apparently,
Did you see the video of the guy walking
yes,
with
I
a gun?
did. Yes, I did.
Yes,
yeah.
but when
So
I
they say
read,
it was never confirmed?
It was never, they never found him.
I know they didn't find
Yeah.
it, but it was actually, if it wasn't
Yeah.
that video, the cops never would have believed it.
I should
No,
find
you're
out
right,
where.
yeah, no, you're right, absolutely. Yeah, I seen the video, yeah.
On Facebook, there was somebody that posted, but I don't know who it was, and they analyzed the picture, and they said, this is AI. So you may want to check and find out
That's-
whether or not.
that's a good
with your
point, yeah,
video And
yeah.
who posted the video
boy.
and who's
Yeah.
doing the video.
Yeah.
No, Evelyn,
Yeah.
you know enough to be dangerous, okay?
Yeah.
The chief of police, okay, first of all, where was
I
our
know
chief
enough
of
to be
police on
dangerous,
TV
that's
yesterday? He wasn't there. They had the chief of police of UMass Lowell speaking for the whole city. And he said he has the same video on his security cameras for UMass Lowell.
Okay.
So it was not AI.
Okay, so it's confirmed, okay.
Where did you get AI, Evelyn?
No, I'm telling you, how I found out about it was Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'm going through, and there was somebody that had, whatever it was that they had, I was just skimming through it because it was late last night.
So
Yep.
you're the first person to tell me it was AI. It was not AI.
So that was somebody's opinion, that it was AI.
Well, it could be.
Right.
But the police, the UMass Lowell police chief, the spokesman for the issue yesterday, was on Channel 45711, and he said he had the same security footage on his cameras that we saw. And the
Okay.
But-
video that's out there is authentic.
So the
But
But gunman-
my problem is, we didn't get a reverse 911 phone call, and
so the alleged gunman was he strictly on university property, or did he?
Yes, university
All
property.
right, so
yeah.
then the chief, the
Yeah.
Lowell University chief would have the jurisdiction there.
Yeah,
Right.
for the university, but I could see why the chief would be on hand. There must have been somebody there from Lowell Police, McDee, no?
Oh, I'm
Nope.
sure, I'm sure.
Okay.
And they had
No,
that's
and
state,
most
strange.
of your police that were there were state.
and they had state
Yeah,
police
right,
too,
right, yeah, FBI, everything, drones. But again, very dangerous situation, no one's hurt, thankfully.
No, and it wasn't an active shooter. It was somebody carrying a gun.
Someone carrying a gun, and they didn't find him, apparently.
It's really
And the ban was
strange.
ultimately
It
lifted.
is strange.
Very strange, yeah. How does he go, how, does he disappear in the thin air? I don't get it.
He was probably from Chelmsford.
Or New Hampshire.
But McDee, we will take a look at the outreach flaws and see how we can do better, because that's a good learning lesson right there.
So let's
Thank
make, not to belabor this, let's make a an observation. If you were going to, if you had somebody smart enough that didn't have all these mental issues, that wanted to create an issue, but down the line, you would have something like this so they could see what the response was, what the response time was, and they could gauge by that if there was a hole in the defense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? So
yep,
you set
yep.
up a scenario, you see how everything works,
Gotcha.
where everything comes from. So I'll plant that seed in your head.
Yeah, right.
It's
No,
been
I like
Unless you
that.
want to ever use.
It's been done before.
Hey, with this
Well,
on
yeah,
university property, what effect did that have?
Comment from the audience.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
You
it
know,
says,
right,
could have
right.
been a test run.
Yeah, right,
Which is
yeah.
where I always,
Yeah.
I always think a lot deeper.
Could have been
And
a
fix the
test.
potholes in the city.
Right.
Yeah, that
Yep.
seems to be,
They're
one of
still
the
out there,
issues.
I know. Look, the city has a 311 app where you could put complaints in there, or you could call your district councilor or citywide as well. I know they're still out there, and I was addressing them till not all that long ago. I think there's still a few lingering in my district itself. It was a very bad winter. But please, call it in. We'll have crews get right on it.
Now, the other thing that also happens citywide is maintenance on facilities. Does the city council have a long-range capital plan on how to address, because this is where your
Absolutely.
prices go.
Yep.
Like with schools, like the roofs, the heating and cooling infrastructures, what might, ceiling tiles might be falling down, are there leaks in the roofs?
Yeah.
Has that been fixed? Where are they on a calendar? So we have like a very long range, what does it seem like, 25 years, 30 years, in terms of the capital plan?
It depends on,
Oh,
it
yeah.
depends on the capital, but yeah, between 15 and 30 years, yeah.
So we've
Interesting,
been
okay.
able to do a lot of stuff through capital over a period of time.
So they actually allocate, every year, they allocate whatever it is, it's.
2 to 4 million.
Between 2
Oh,
and 4
okay.
million
Yep.
every year.
Right.
For specific targeted capital.
Yep.
Improvements. And we've been doing that now for about 25 years in Chelmsford.
We've been doing it a long time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
And basically addressing the school issues, we've been
The
doing.
schools usually get more than half the allocation.
Right,
Yeah.
but I got on school committee in 98, and my thing was making sure that you didn't have heating issues, and you did enough in terms of maintenance so that later on you didn't have to put a whole lot of money into building a new school. And that's been sort of our downfall.
So do
because
they
we
have,
don't get
do
money
they
from the
have that?
state.
No,
They
right,
don't
you get
have
that,
that
yeah.
mechanism in Lowell where they formally allocate money every year for specific.
it's called net school spending, yeah.
No,
But-
no, we're not talking about, I understand what net school spending is.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
Okay.
having, it's the town side, the municipal side, not the education, not the
Okay,
school side.
yeah.
In that we have between $2 and $4 million that we allocated, started in 1998 when we began to assess all our schools.
Okay, yeah.
And so actually it began in 96, because I was on that citizens committee, went to every single one of our schools, we have a whole lot less than you do, and we sat down with the principal and the school councils and all of the other stuff, school councils from the Ed Reform Act of 93. So the school part was that when Bernie Lynch was there, that they decided, the select board decided that they would create, or whatever it was, a fund.
Yep.
So every year, as part of the tax base, they borrow the money, and a certain amount goes towards the schools. So you come up with a long-range plan as to how you can address that. Things are getting more expensive, so it's more and more difficult to do
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
But you might, the fire department might get a new engine. The DPW might get a new dump truck. And you can go on,
Yeah.
with regard to that. So from the time that I think I got on this program about 14 years ago, I've been asking, does the city of Lowell have a long-range facility program that addresses all those issues? Because I have had candidates come on, and they complain about the roofs and the paint peeling and things, shingles falling off, and there's a whole lot of pieces to this, and it's like, but if you evaluate what all it is, and you can put it on a list, you can fix it. It doesn't have to be that you have to get elected so that your voice is strong enough to get stuff done, which doesn't mean that you can't. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean to undermine anything that you're doing here or downplay it. But that facility plan would put certain things in place, and sometimes things will move on it depending upon the need.
The needs, yeah.
So I'm still waiting to see if there's any kind of
Yeah.
long-range facility plan for the city of Lowell. I just don't, I haven't seen it, so
No,
is there
right,
something
no.
I'm missing?
We have not been good at maintenance. I'm gonna just put it right out there. And the worst thing you can do as a politician is not acknowledge there's a problem, or be in denial, like I'm seeing, in major cities throughout, like, there's no problem with crime here, that in itself is a problem. But we have acknowledged the fact that we have not been good at maintenance. And our names, I've been on previous terms, and look, my name's on it too. But what we do is think how to correct it. So as far as, well, I'll start with the schools. We've started and approved this year a school facilities department, knowing that, we have not done a good job maintaining schools over the years, and it needs to improve. So we're going to start with the high school, 3 positions at the high school, and add on per year to address the other 29 schools.
Now, what are these positions designed to do?
These are all maintenance positions.
Maintenance
Yeah,
positions,
all maintenance,
all right,
yep,
all
too,
right.
because this is all high-tech, this is all state-of-the-art heating and the systems, and they're all you need qualified technicians.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
To maintain it, so it doesn't deteriorate. We end up in a position like we are in many of our other schools. So, as far as, other than that, Evelyn, it's mainly targeting the capital plan. Like, for instance, if we want to target $1 million for new windows at the Paul Memorial Library, it will be a targeted line item, if you will. So there's not a pool of funds like you're alluding to, which I'm sure is a good,
But you do have a capital plan.
but we do have a capital
Okay,
plan.
so I think
Yes, we do have a
that,
cap- yes,
that's
yeah.
your question.
Yeah.
Yes, we do
Okay,
have a capital
all right.
plan per year,
Right.
yes.
So
So
yes,
can you
we
get
do.
these 3?
Again, that we borrow, which I'm not pleased, I'll get into that later too. We borrow, 25, 30 million every year. The debt service is going through the roof, and that is a big concern of mine. But, go ahead. Potholes are essential, it keeps the potholes crew employed. Yep. I never heard that, potholes are essential.
That's
Okay.
good.
Well,
Sam, you gotta read
I can
these
tell you
too?
there's no demand for them, I can tell you that.
We've moved on from the potholes. I'm on 311
Yeah.
Christmas list I've called so many times.
Okay, well,
There you go.
what is your district, and who is your district councilor? Does that large councilors? E-call the manager's office through the city website. You can email your district councilors. If no one reports, there's enough people that drive by that should be reporting this. When I drive by the district.
Respectfully, okay? You got
Go ahead.
a bazillion city employees riding around in company cars, city
Yep.
cars.
Right.
And they go boom, boom. I hope somebody calls 311
know,
about
no.
that. What the hell's the matter with
I agree.
your
I agree.
personnel?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And,
Okay, and that's the
potholes-
culture, that's the culture we're trying to establish here.
The luxury of
We-
sitting over here is we have all these towns, and I look at
Yeah.
their town agenda, and I like to pick on Tewksbury because Tewksbury it's run marvelously. That you look at the agenda for the selectmen, there's 2 items on it. You guys have 55 items, many of which are potholes, and we haven't painted the crosswalks. And what's the difference? Tewksbury has a better manager than Lowell. And Lowell just goes, let's expend this, we're gonna pay you $1,000 a day, and we're gonna just applaud for everything you do. And it's time you guys gotta look at, you have poor management.
I don't believe that for a minute. I
Okay.
don't believe that for a minute.
Well, see, on your
The
capital-
cities have much more challenges than a town, with
That
all
is,
with
that
all
is
due
true.
respect. With all due
That is
respect.
absolutely
Yep.
true.
In some instances, we are shorthanded. Matter of fact, the pothole crew, I think we had 1 crew out there. Okay, that did not sit well with me. That's something we're gonna look at over the winter
Well,
for
Corey,
next
we
spring.
both understand the city is outsourcing as many jobs as they can. They wanna keep the management, we'll keep the management, but we're gonna outsource all the jobs we can so we can screw the little guy out of our
In
pension.
some cases, we do. I don't like it a bit. I want city crews to do city work, now, part of the problem is that, overtime, we have trouble getting people working overtime, if you can imagine that. That's why you see police, you see a lot of retirees doing details now, which you never, 10, 20 years ago, you never saw that. It's basically a new thing. Not that I have a problem with it, but I'd much rather see active employees, getting this overtime, putting food on their table, getting the few extras in their life,
Well, up in your
rather
district,
than calling.
up in your district.
Go ahead.
The city spent $1 bazillion buying a new sewer sucker truck, okay?
Yep.
And this truck sucks all the stuff out of the sewer to get it running
That's
again.
citywide, by the way, it's not just pertaining to my district, but go ahead.
Up in your district, right at the Fort Hill Park,
Yep.
there's a sewer sucker truck that's been up there for a few weeks, digging up all the ground, and it's outsourced. Why isn't a city,
That is utility work, that's from the utilities companies, putting in new lines.
So that's
new
not
lines of
city.
what, sewer?
I think it's gas. It's one of the utilities, I'm not sure which one.
Why would you need,
It's a
okay.
utility project,
My
McGee.
puzzling is to see the sewer sucker truck there. I don't know why the sewer sucker. They have
Okay,
their own sewer
sometimes
sucker
they hit a
truck.
line, I don't know
Yeah.
what that,
That
you
could
know.
be, that could be stormwater.
Okay.
maintenance,
yeah, it could be
too.
stormwater, yeah, I don't know, but that's
Understood.
a utility project.
I'll.
Thank you.
It's on High Street.
I'll leave you-
Abutting Fort Hill Park.
I'll-
Exactly,
I'll-
yep.
I'll
Yep.
leave you with a thought. As
Tell me
you,
I'm not on top of things, McD.
you are.
Good, thank you.
As you know, we hired Christine Clancy to be our DPW
Oh,
director
okay.
in
Yeah.
Chelmsford,
Yeah.
and she previously served in Lowell.
Yes.
And one of the things she told me when she first came on board, and I asked her about, about the differences between Lowell and Chelmsford.
I'm all ears,
What
yeah.
she found.
Yep.
And she said something that I thought was very interesting. She said, well, one of the reasons I decided to come to Chelmsford is because we have more resources available to us in Chelmsford for DPW operations than I had in Lowell. And I'm thinking,
Wow.
well, now, my
Yeah.
God, Lowell, the population of Lowell is three and a half times
Yep.
that of Chelmsford, and it's a much more complex, I don't know if you have more road miles. We have a lot of road miles in Chelmsford, but it's a more complex grid
Yeah.
to manage.
Gotcha.
All right, and she said that, and that surprised me, okay? So,
Interesting.
I mean, she wouldn't say, it's woefully underfunded. She didn't want to criticize.
Right, yep.
Her previous situation, which I appreciate, but I just thought that was a very interesting comment that she made.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Sam, read this
Thanks for
one.
sharing that, Sam.
Yeah. Bishop Markham problem / bad road / no parking / no housing / et cetera. And the manager is doing a good job. Don't agree with that, Jay. Well, you're an American citizen and you have a First Amendment right to
That's right.
criticize the government, so God love you, and
Yeah.
you're entitled to your opinion, sir.
Right. Well, these are city problems that Jay just stated. There's no doubt.
Nothing is perfect.
We got challenges. I never said we did. Absolutely. But
And
we're trying to address them.
Resources are finite. I mean,
Yep.
you don't have all the money in the world to address every single problem.
Yep.
And you have to make.
I
part
seen
of-
no parking where,
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to
where,
make choices,
downtown or,
right.
they're very vague. But
there's
yeah,
also
look, we
been-
got issues. We're a city, we got them, and we're trying to we're doing the
And
best
you
we
have
can.
to, and you have to establish priorities.
Yeah,
So there's
Yeah.
also been criticism as far as the meters go downtown, is that most of it, the meters are used by people trying to go to the different businesses.
A lot of them don't work.
And,
it's
and so the criticism is
Yeah.
that people have to pay to do all of that stuff,
Yeah.
but, so they decide they're gonna go someplace else. where they don't have to
absolutely.
pay.
It's a big problem. Parking in the downtown.
Now, you talked
Yeah.
about the increasing your tax base without increasing the taxes on the residences. What have you done, or not you personally, you figuratively speaking, an evaluation of what you're trying to do and how much it may generate if you got to 100%? I'm aware of what's going on, like that mill area, because Draper has offices in there from Cambridge, because Glenn
Yes.
works for Draper.
Yeah, okay,
So, and he's
yeah.
been up there,
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
done different.
Yeah, they're there
things.
now,
So
yeah.
we're very familiar
Yeah.
with that part of it, but basically the whole building is not full, it's empty. So, but if
Yeah.
you could fill that, and that, has anybody done the calculation in order to know what that tax base would be, to see how much it would offset what it is that's going on with the residences? Because it's nice to say you're gonna do it.
Yep.
But if you don't know how much it is and what it is, it's just a bunch of words as far as I'm
No,
concerned.
very good, Evelyn. I mean, I like to put a dollar value, I always like to put percentages on things or dollar values, rough, to calculate the best we can. And as far as the Link project, what you're talking about, yes, so the estimate is such that between 5 and 10 years, the tax base, and by the way, point I want to make is UMass Lowell, where the complaining I used to hear in my previous terms, they bought this up, took it off the tax rolls. Yes, there's no doubt. UMass Lowell has grown exponentially. in the last 15, 20 years, and city property was bought up for housing and whatnot, to expand. But it's all coming back tenfold. So just the Link project alone, Evelyn, along the Riverwalk there, La Latcha Ballpark, 4 to 5 million is what we anticipate in revenue.
Increased.
Increased
Okay.
tax base. So
Per year.
that per year. That goes, again, that assists the homeowners of Lowell,
Huge.
you know? It brings a nice vibrant economy, not, high-paying jobs where you can live, work. And, you know, with businesses on the first floors especially, you know, all retail. This is going to be like a mini city over there. It's going to be a tremendous project. So that's the estimation, approximately over $4 million
Okay,
in
now
the
do you have a
tax rolls.
committee that is going out to solicit different businesses or different companies to be able to put a satellite in there or to actually be in there? Do you have somebody
Well,
that's
we know
actually doing
Draper's
that?
here now in the Warren Lancet as a temporary home, right? That's one. There are 3 to 4 others signed on, ready to come, with more to come. And many of it's going to be housing and retail too, Evelyn. So it's all going to work out. The square footage that's planned now is almost all accounted for. If you include housing and retail, what's pegged for retail.
Yeah, see, what's
right?
good is people don't want to go to Boston. And the younger individuals, not in our generation,
Mm-hmm.
your generation and younger, okay, they don't want to do all of that. They want to be either close to where their house is
Sure.
or work from home.
Yep.
So having more here gives people another place that they can go versus trying to drive an hour, 2 hours.
Sure.
That should normally be a 30-minute drive to Boston.
Yep, that's a great concept. I would agree with you there. But don't forget now, along with the train station right here, you know, just footsteps away, you're going to see some development there with the front runner city. That is, and this, one of the best short stories I have, when the UN delegation was in Lowell early in July, the bus, you know, we hit the bus, we're on a bus tour between the Hamilton Canal, the courthouses, and we end up over there, we pull up. So Eduardo, the co-director, I remember him saying, and I was basically watching, you know, what they were saying and trying to, you know, get what they were thinking. And so he gets off the bus, he's up looking around, he's rubbernecking it up, down, you know, I'm like, Eduardo, he says, where is everything? I said, sir? He goes, this takes you to Boston. I said, yeah, but 45 minutes, you're in Boston, yeah. He goes, you should have shops and housing here, like this is the most inactive, he didn't say it word for word, but I could tell, it was probably the most inactive, he's been all over the world, the most inactive commuter rail station that he's ever seen.
Interesting.
Yep, there was parking, granted, the parking lot's there, another big surface lot from the LRTA, you go around the corner, surface lots everywhere, but no retail, no shops, no housing. He could not believe. So right then and there, I says, this is going to be one of the destinations for sure.
Well, think about it, he's
So,
right, because
he's absolutely right.
when you go to
Yeah.
when you go to a major airport, what do you find? Go to Logan?
Yeah,
Shops,
absolutely.
you know, and yeah,
Restaurants.
Restaurants, yeah, that's, you know.
So you're going to see some big
absolutely right.
development
Yeah.
right there, the
Respectfully,
parking.
I bet you that guy never owned a small shop in his life.
Probably right.
Hoey has been a small business owner in downtown Lowell for a long, long time.
You're probably
It's
right.
hard to grind customers into your store.
Well, that's true.
In
Yeah,
2020.
no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Especially
people are doing
in-
everything online.
But
especially
that doesn't
in
mean he doesn't know what he's
Massachusetts.
doing when it comes to urban planning.
Right.
He's been all over the world, this is what he does.
I
And I've seen an
understand.
example of Regent Park in Toronto, I've seen it with my own. So I've seen what they can do, McD. Seeing is believing. Believe me, I was a skeptic, I totally understand that. But this is an area you're gonna, now the idea is commerce, housing, retail, that you're gonna see, and with mixed income housing. Now, we're not, you know, what I wanna do is focus on market rate. I'm not drawing the line in the sand, say we're not gonna have low income housing, we are. But what I'm trying to accomplish here is market rate, because we're gonna have shops and retail, okay, that's great, like McD just alluded to. Who's gonna support them? We need those with the disposable income to support those businesses. So we're gonna need market rate housing, and I wanna concentrate, see if we can accomplish some first-time home ownership opportunities. So the young generation can start accruing wealth, and by home ownership, that's got to happen, whether we help with down payment assistance, interest rates, whatever it may be. We're not getting any help there with the interest rates. They're still being stubborn and don't want to loosen them for a reason I have no idea. But that's causing the market to be very stagnant. That is huge. So that's one of my big focuses, first-time home ownership, so these young individuals can start achieving generational wealth, which is very, very tough to do right now. So that's a big focus of mine and my colleagues. But McD, I understand your questions, but these people know what they're doing, I assure you. And it's very
I trust
exciting
you.
stuff, yep. And I will be in to give you updates, don't you worry.
So on the Geneva thing, because we only have like
Yep.
about 8 minutes here.
Yep.
So what is that project? And I'll preface that by saying that, I don't know, decades ago, we had the superintendent of schools and a couple of people
Yep.
go to Finland. They wanted to see what was the Finland model for education, which is lovely and wonderful, but it doesn't fit into anything in the
No.
United States.
Okay.
Because we educate all children.
Finland is not
And we
US.
give everybody the opportunity to make a decision on their career. The government
Yep.
isn't telling you, well, 10 graduates are going to go into engineering.
Oh, is that how it
15
works?
are going
Okay.
to go
That's
into
that's
teaching.
pretty much a European system.
Oh,
Right.
interesting. I
Yeah.
never knew that.
And
Okay, yeah.
and then they have the different levels of education, and
Yep.
special education, you don't talk about that.
So they divide it into sectors, if you will, and say this is a need. Okay, that's interesting.
And
So
it's
that
it's
everybody gets a
preordained.
job.
Yeah,
So
right.
when you're 12 or 11, 12 or 13 in
Yeah.
most of the Western European countries, you take an exam, and that charts your course. So if you test into
Oh, wow.
university preparation, or you test into something else, then that's the direction you go. So you really don't have the element of choice the way you do here in this country.
So anyway,
Interesting.
Can you do these four, these are the last four texts for today.
So what does that
4, all right, yeah.
So what does that do with the downtown area? Will those places be full or remain empty? Are the parking meters downtown cashless? Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. It's an app.
Respectfully, this talk was already proposed. Remember a hotel/ballpark/ice arena.
Yep, did not go through.
Yep.
I understand.
Did you tell him how terrible the commuter rail is in Massachusetts? Years of this beyond belief with MBTA trains from China that went belly up BART. I don't know.
Yep.
Did you?
I took the MBTA. Now, it's not exactly a luxury liner, don't get me wrong. I
does
used to
work, though.
I used to go to Boston
Yep.
up till COVID all the time, and I
Yeah.
still frequent Boston, and
What is a?
it is still more reliable than people think.
And what does it
I was
cost?
only late for work in 7 years, 5 less than a half all the time.
What does it cost now to go from Lowell to Boston?
About $22 round trip.
Really?
Yep.
So $11 a,
Yep, $11 one way.
It's
If you
cheaper
get a
than
monthly
parking.
pass, it's a little bit cheaper, but if you do it singly, that's about 20. Weekends are only $10. Weekends, but yeah, Monday to Friday,
so
about 22
a
bucks.
good deal on the weekends, yeah.
Yep. So are the meters cashless? That's a yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a parking app now that you are encouraged to use. But what I want to do is open the garages at night, especially on Saturdays, for people to come down and not have to struggle for parking. The
That's what they-
businesses need it, yes.
That's what they do in DC.
Yep, we need to do it.
Yeah,
We
parking
need to do it.
garages are free on the weekend.
So if you
Yep.
decide to do something as far as the commuter rail goes with regard to the recommendations, please don't get rid of the parking that's there because you need the parking.
You need the parking, there's a big
We
car,
need-
parking's not an issue there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you have a lot more opportunity for people to be there, you need parking for them to come.
Absolutely.
And deal
Mm-hmm.
with that, and then you're never quite sure exactly how that's all gonna work out. But what is this, if you have like 2 seconds here to tell me, people went to Geneva, for what purpose? You talked about the one in Toronto, I
Yep.
followed that one because that was interesting.
Yep.
I understand the thing with the mill thing, that's easy enough. Okay, what's the Geneva
The
one?
Geneva was to pretty much finalize the contract, if you will, okay, which is done, okay? It is coming, it's here, it's real, number one. Okay, we didn't go to Toronto in November, they didn't come here in July, and we didn't go there for nothing. So that's happening. So like what the delegation did, the councilors and some administration members worked out. Now, it was all about conversations and meetings about the future, how this is going to work. They sat down with the investors, if you will, and how the financing aspects are going to work, or how if we're going to take this money and filter it into local banks, and which they've never done, and they actually like that concept, according to the city manager.
That's great.
I have not got a full explanation, but I've got bits and pieces from my colleagues, but, So that's what that's what we've asked them to do as far as the financing, what priorities. They're mostly wealthy philanthropists, and I say billionaires with the B, who could be doing much more with their money, but they're going to be lending it out a handful of percent, 2-3%, to make these projects work.
Great.
Tomorrow City Life, Cliff
Yep.
Grigg is gonna be the host.
So-
We got Sidney Lang's coming, Francisco Maldonado, Aaron Gendron, and Eileen Del Rossi will be here as well. Time is short, Ev, thanks.
Busy slate.
Well, we only have a few minutes left. I'm certainly sure that we could go further into all of the other.
Yes, we could. I wish we had more
Okay,
time.
yes.
Yeah, wish we
Well,
did.
you can always
Yeah.
come back.
Yep, absolutely, and I intend
You
on
know,
doing that. Yeah, I
invitation's
love talking
open.
about this, and I want to educate, because, I did a full-color mailer, informational mailer to my district, or just on this, even though it's not effective, but just to educate and let them know what's coming and what this means to the tax base and how important it is to our revitalization. When many cities are stagnant due to construction costs and interest rates I alluded to, Lowell is going to be bucking the trend due to the hard work of this council. Very exciting.
You want to ask for the vote next week?
By all means, thank you. And thank you, Sam, Evelyn, great to be with you here this morning. Great conversation. And yes, my name's Corey Belanger. I'm running for District 3 in Belvedere. I am the incumbent. Much has been done during my term on the city council, that we have tangible, visible results in many of your neighborhoods, as you can see. I've been very responsive to you, your calls, texts, and emails. There is no one who can say that I have not been in touch with them or responsive to their concerns. And I humbly ask for your vote. Next Tuesday, September 9th, we got 2 voting locations, the Riley School and the Pine School. And I've been serving you for over 25 years in local government. As you can see, the handle on the district, the laser focus I have on the district, as well as my hard work on a citywide level to help assist you with the tax base, which is going to be very important moving forward. The debates are all history now. I suggest you go on LTC or Inside Lowell, there's debates, and you will see clearly I am the clear choice for this election based on experience and accomplishments. So again, it's been an honor to serve you, and I ask for your vote next Tuesday, November 9th, in the preliminary election. Thank you very much.
So
Well done.
is there?
All off the cuff, Sam.
You've had some
Yes, but if you do it
experience.
often enough, it becomes very natural.
That's it, yeah, yeah.
If you notice, there's no notes
Yeah,
here.
nope, I don't, even the debates, nothing in front of me. I've been doing this long enough, and,
And that's the advantage of incumbency.
Absolutely.
The first time you run, you're fumbling, you
Oh,
got your notes,
absolutely.
but then after you've
Been
been in
there.
a couple of
Yep.
years,
Yep.
you're okay.
been there, Sam, believe me, I've had missteps, still do, time
Oh,
to
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, we're
But you
only
learn
human.
from 'em, and,
We do
yeah.
make mistakes.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Appreciate that.
I will be back.
And I hope everyone out there, stays safe. There's some crazy people out there that are on 495 and 95. Never mind locally, just,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. I drive it often enough, and the people just, you wonder where their head
It's in the
is at.
neighborhoods too, everybody's driving like maniacs. It's, in the residential neighborhoods, it's just insane, it really is.
So anyway, John, we'll see you guys next week. I think Vivian Merrill is on next week, then Paul Cohen and John Moses on our Thursday shows. So if people are interested.
We're not having Paul and John on at the same time,
No.
are we? Okay, all right.
You're having, Jose Cementos is coming next week too.
Jose,
Yep. So, say goodbye, kids, we're out of here.
Hey,
Goodbye.
enjoy this beautiful day. Thank you.
Corey. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, my pleasure.